Hello, how's it going? Breakfast all day with Christy and Alonso and Matt. Next up for us is the latest from Olivier. Is it Assayas or Assayas? Assayas. I don't want to get these things wrong. I want to get them right. Starring the radiant, as always, Juliette Binoche. It is called Nonfiction, and Alonso will tell us about it.
So this is a comedy set in the world of publishing, and times are changing, and ebooks are taking over. And the books that sell are people writing thinly veiled novels about their own sex lives and scandalous affairs. And so we meet a group of characters, including Juliette Binoche, who is a serious actor who's been slumming it on a TV cop show for years. And her husband is a publisher, and he's getting involved with the woman who wants to make his company go all digital. She starts sleeping again with a friend of theirs who's a novelist, even though she knows she's probably going to wind up in one of his books because of it. And in the same way that Assayas' Summer Hours, which is a great movie that you should totally see if you have not already, is about the idea of what happens to art and culture as it gets passed down to generations who maybe aren't all that interested in the art and culture of the past. This is a movie that sort of speculates about what is the future of books, what's the future of libraries and information and of literature. And in a way that it doesn't sort of stop to talk about this, but they talk about it, very organically. This is one of those French movies where people have long conversations. and it's not like, he's not like an old man shaking his fist at the cloud saying, physical media is so great. Like he's like, here's where we are, and let's try and figure that out. And he doesn't try to offer answers, but he does want to kind of ask the questions. And I love this movie. For
a while, this movie does feel super French, though. It's like a bunch of French people sitting around drinking wine and just talking about art and books and talking.
I had to watch like 9 Eric Romer films in a short period of time last summer for Filmstruck. So bring it.
This is your jam.
Totally.
So while I was watching it, I would often feel like, okay, where are we going with this? This is just one conversation after another, and then the cumulative experience comes onto you rather. What am I saying here? It sneaks up on you. It accumulates.
Yes.
I speak for a living. And and you realize what he is getting at here, and that it is more relevant and more profound than perhaps you might expect at the outside. Matt's scowling at me. He's furrowing his brow at me.
Yeah, this, I almost wonder, I'm actually on the fence of whether or not I should even review this movie, because I think partly, I was watching it
on books.
On a screening link, and I think that affected my experience, because I felt like I was spending so much time reading that I was missing the performances. And so I had a real problem understanding, not so much following the written conversations that was going on made me... I had trouble following the nuance of who was saying what and what their tone of voice was. And so there's one particular conversation where the wife of the writer is really upset because she was doing her work for the political campaign, and she thinks they're all making fun of her and her work, because they're kind of they're also cynical about politics. And I couldn't read, are they just having conversations and she's being sensitive about it, or is she legit? And partly because I was spending so much time reading it. Mm-hmm. The other issue too is, and this is more my own issue, having spent 10 years at Rotten Tomatoes, really paying a lot of attention to how digital is affecting publishing. In this case, it's digital as opposed to newspapers and magazines. But I spent a lot of time, and so I think some of it, the subject matter they're discussing, is something that I'm probably too close to and have my own thoughts. And so I had real trouble putting that aside.
What are your own thoughts on this?
It's how long you got?
I was going to say, can you say it briefly?
Well, it's.
We have to have 4 very long conversations over coffee. And then
yeah, I mean, it's some of the stuff that they're discussing, it was making me think those are conversations from 4 years ago,
about ebooks,
just right, and the way people consume media, and some of it's on and some of it's not. The discussion about Twitter is really interesting.
Whether that counts as writing?
Yeah, the woman who's taking over the digital stuff considers Twitter to be like haiku.
Right. And, it was an interesting glimpse to how we look at media through the lens of like the countries it's like so much of the technology has been created in the US and it's primary, or if not primarily, like our experiences with English-based writing. And so, it makes me think like, ooh, I wonder what Twitter is like in French. I wonder, is the style of writing on Twitter, do they see the same level of trolling that we see? And understanding that so many folks in France are bilingual, if not trilingual, that affects that too. So I found myself a little bit getting distracted by that. But then the other side of it is like, oh, these are French couples and everybody's cheating on everybody else and nobody seems to really care.
It is like a low-key Woody Allen farce in that way.
And it was just like, well, okay, who cares? Like,
well, I think they establish enough sort of stakes of like who's not telling whom and why it needs to be a secret. There's a very funny running gag about the white ribbon, and that's all I'll say about that.
Yes, that is good. Yeah, no, it very much of our times now in terms of its references.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get what you're saying, and yeah, I'm sure probably you know more about the digital revolution than Olivier Assayas does, doing the work that you do, and so yeah, when he wrote this 2 years ago, it was already a little late.
But I also think that like the way I was watching it, the screener I was watching, in my office trying to keep quiet, like it's the wrong venue to really appreciate that movie. Sure. So I'm actually not going to give a score to this because I think that like I'll let you guys have the score. I think that I guess what I'm saying is I need to go back and watch this in a place where I'm not distracted, like on a larger screen, like hook the computer up to my TV and try and get closer to what I would hope the filmmaker would want to be the experience of seeing this film.
I got to see it at the Venice Film Festival.
Because you're fancy. I was going to say, maybe being distracted and watching it on a laptop at your work is exactly the place to watch this film.
It's meta.
If that's the case, then it doesn't work.
No, because that's what it's all about. It's about how you're distracted and you're on the go. You don't have time to sit and read an entire book. You can bring your Kindle with you, or and we're all trying to do so many things that we're not
staring at screens.
Yeah, so I think that maybe that was his point. You proved his point, so you should give it a number, and it should be high. That is my point.
Maybe I don't like being
into this movie's trap.
Maybe I'll get a low number because I don't like being called out.
There you go. I want to mention I really liked Vincent. I'm going to really mangle his name. Macagne, Maciagne. Macagne, yeah. He's really good in this. The movie just drops you into a conversation that he and Guillaume Canet are having, and you don't really know who is whom to and what their relationship is. They have lunch. They're talking about books and art and stuff, but he's this writer.
But then you quickly realize that it's a publisher giving the kiss off to an author.
Yes, and he's this writer who I guess has had some success in the past, and his most recent output is not as strong, and he's like damaged and he's messy and he's schlubby and he can be kind of an asshole, but also be kind of charming, and he can be needy. It's a really showy, rich performance that I enjoyed very much.
Yeah, you know what? And if you're going to complain about like Seth Rogen hooking up with Charlize Theron, take a look at Vincent Macagne and Juliette Binoche and get back to me.
This is a good week for schlubs hooking up with really beautiful women.
Juliette Binoche, by the way, we were talking.
Yay, me.
We said this about. Indeed, you're living it. We said this about Charlize Theron before. Juliette Binoche also does not get to play a lot of comedy,
right?
And she's really funny in this. Like, I like everybody keeps talking about how she's playing a policewoman on this show, and she's like, "Well, actually, I'm a forensic consultant or something."
She's a crime scene. Something.
She's a crisis management expert, and yet the scene we get where she's on set doing her role, she's got a big old thing on her arm that says "police." No wonder everyone thinks you're a cop.
Yeah, way to split hairs there. But no, she's very funny, and you can tell sort of relishing to getting to be in a movie where she's not like suffering beautifully.
But we are never forgetting the fact that we are Juliette Binoche. We're watching Juliette Binoche rather, and there's one cutesy meta bit at the end that really bugged me.
Yeah, sometimes they can nudge your ribs a little hard.
Too far.
It didn't take me out of it, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yes.
There's also a thing where you can tell that Assayas is a bit of a snob about pop culture because there's that scene in The Clouds of Sils Maria where Juliette Binoche and Kristen Stewart go see the superhero movie that Chloe Grace Moretz is in, and it just looks ridiculous. And the clip that we see from her cop show also looks ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah. So what's your number then? So Matt's not going to give one.
Correct.
I'm saying 7.
I said 8.5. I really love to. Again, this is my wheelhouse. If French people having long conversations is not your jam, don't go see this movie. But if you like it, you'll get tons of it.
Yes. So because Matt has withdrawn his number, that significantly bumps up our number to a 7.8. It's at 89% on the tomato meter. So maybe watch it on your laptop like Olivier Assayas wants you to. Maybe see it in the theater like Olivier Assayas wants you to, and figure it all out for yourself.
Thanks for watching. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And hey, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. You'll get tons of exclusive content, including our TV recaps of shows like Game of Thrones and Fosse Verdon, movie news, trailer discussion, and lots of cool new things that we'll have later on exclusively for our subscribers. Thanks for watching.
Thanks to all you guys so much. We'll see you real soon. Take care. Bye.
Au revoir.
Au revoir, ma chérie.